She came as a mail-order bride, bruised and broken, until a cowboy said, "You're safe in my arms." She arrived in the late afternoon when the sun was low and the sky looked like it was trying to remember its own color. The wagon rolled into the small town slowly, as if the horses were tired of carrying her life. Clara sat inside, her hands folded in her lap, and she stared at the dust that rose behind the wheels. Her heart was beating so fast that she could feel it in her throat, but her face stayed still, as if she had practiced calm for years. She had come as a mail-order bride, a promise on paper that had been mailed from a faraway place. She did not know the man she was supposed to marry. She had only known that she could not stay where she was, not after everything that happened. She had paid for a chance at safety, and now she was here, in a town that looked too quiet to hold all her fears. When the wagon stopped, Clara did not move right away. She listened to the sounds around her, the creak of the wagon, the soft snort of the horses, the distant call of someone working outside. She could hear the town breathing. It made her feel even smaller. Then the door opened, and the fresh air hit her face. It smelled of dust and wood smoke, with a faint scent of wildflowers from the fields beyond. Clara stepped down carefully, as if she might break if she moved too fast. Her boots sank into the soft dirt. The ground felt real beneath her, and for a moment she almost believed she could stay real too. People in the town watched her, but they did not rush to greet her. They stood in small groups, whispering. Their eyes were curious, but their faces were careful. Clara had learned long ago that curiosity could turn into something dangerous. She kept her head down, avoiding direct looks. She did not want anyone to see the way her hands shook. A woman in a plain dress stepped forward, a kind expression on her face. "You must be Clara," she said softly. "I'm Mary. We've been expecting you." Clara nodded once. "Yes," she said, and her voice sounded smaller than she wanted it to. She had practiced speaking in a steady tone, but her body did not always cooperate. She felt like a stranger inside her own skin. Mary reached out and touched Clara's arm gently. "Come on, honey, you've had a long trip." Clara flinched at the touch. It was not meant to hurt her, but her body remembered the times when a hand was not a comfort, but a warning. She pulled her arm away quickly, but she did not look angry. She looked frightened. Mary noticed. Her eyes softened. "It's okay," she said. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to." Clara nodded again, but she did not speak. She followed Mary down the street, her steps careful and quiet. The town was small, with a few wooden buildings, a saloon, a general store, and a stable. There was a schoolhouse at the end of the road, and a church with a tall steeple that looked like it was trying to reach the sky. Clara's eyes kept moving, taking everything in. She tried to remember what she had heard about this place. She had heard that the men here were strong and quiet, that they worked hard and did not waste words. She had heard that women were respected if they kept their heads down and did not cause trouble. She had heard that it was a place where a person could start over. But Clara did not believe in starting over. Not really. She believed in surviving. Starting over sounded like something that happened in stories, not in real life. Mary led her to a small house near the edge of town. It was simple, with a porch and a few windows. The roof looked sturdy and the yard was neat. Clara felt a strange pull in her chest. The house looked like it could be a home. Inside, the air was cool and clean. A kettle sat on the stove, and the table was set with 2 plates. Clara looked around, trying to see if there was anything that would remind her of the past. She did not want reminders. She wanted to forget, but forgetting was not something she could control. Mary showed her to a small room with a bed and a chair. The bed was made, the sheets clean. Clara stared at it for a long moment. as if she could not believe it was real. She sat on the edge and placed her hands on her knees. She felt the bruises on her arms through her thin sleeves. She kept her sleeves pulled down, even though it was warm. She did not want anyone to see. Mary left her alone, but she did not close the door. Clara heard her footsteps fade away, then the sound of someone outside, working. Clara sat very still, trying to breathe normally. She tried to tell herself that she was safe. But safety was a word that did not belong to her. Safety was something she had never known. She closed her eyes and her mind went back to the moments she wanted to forget. She saw the house she had left, the locked doors, the angry voice, the feeling of being trapped. She saw herself standing in the doorway, holding a bag, running without looking back. She remembered the bruises, the pain, the shame. She remembered how her body had learned to flinch before the harm arrived. She opened her eyes again, and the room was still. The silence was heavy, but it was not the kind of silence that meant danger. It was the kind that meant nobody was there to hurt her. It felt strange, almost wrong. Clara stood and walked to the window. She looked out at the fields beyond the town. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft colors. The world looked calm. It looked peaceful. It looked like a place where someone could breathe. But Clara did not trust peace. She had learned that peace could change into chaos without warning. She had learned that people could smile while they were hurting you. She turned away from the window and sat back on the bed. She did not cry. Crying was something she had done in secret when no one was watching. Crying felt like weakness, and weakness was dangerous. Still, her heart was pounding. Her body was tense. She felt like she was waiting for something to happen, as if danger would come through the door at any moment. A few minutes later, the door opened. Clara tensed instantly, her body ready to run. But it was not danger. It was a man. He was tall, with broad shoulders and a calm face. His hair was dark and his eyes were steady. He wore a simple shirt and pants, and he carried a small bag in one hand. He looked like someone who had spent his life working outside. Clara's first instinct was to hide. She moved slightly, as if she might disappear. The man stopped in the doorway and looked at her. "You must be Clara," he said. Clara nodded slowly. She did not speak. She felt like her voice had been taken from her. The man stepped closer, but he did not move quickly. He did not rush her. He did not reach for her. He simply stood there, giving her space. "My name is Luke," he said. "I'm the one who was supposed to meet you." Clara swallowed hard. She had imagined many things about the man she was supposed to marry. She had imagined someone harsh, someone angry, someone who would want to control her. She had imagined someone who would see her bruises and use them as an excuse to be cruel. But Luke did not look cruel. He looked tired. He looked gentle. He looked like someone who had been through hard things and had learned to survive without hurting others. Luke set his bag down and looked at her carefully, but not in a way that felt threatening. His eyes were calm, like he was trying to understand her without forcing her to explain. "You don't have to say anything," he said quietly. "I know you've been through a lot." Clara's breath caught. She did not know what to do with those words. She wanted to believe them, but she did not trust them. She had learned that words could be used to trick you. Luke took a step back, still keeping his distance. "If you want, you can rest. I'll give you time." Clara stared at him. She wanted to ask him to leave. She wanted to tell him she did not need him, but she did not say anything. She was too tired to fight. Luke nodded once, as if he understood. He turned and left the room. closing the door gently behind him. Clara sat on the bed and stared at the closed door. She felt a strange mix of relief and fear. Relief because no one was there to hurt her. Fear because no one was there to hurt her. She did not know how to be alone without feeling afraid. After a while, she heard footsteps in the hallway. The door opened again. Luke stood there with a cup of tea and a small plate of bread. "I thought you might be hungry," he said. Clara looked at the food. She had not eaten in a long time. Her stomach was empty, and she felt weak. She wanted to refuse, but her body betrayed her. She reached out and took the tea. Luke did not push her. He simply sat in a chair across from her and waited. His presence was quiet. It did not feel like a threat. It felt like someone who had learned how to wait for a person to trust them. Clara took a small sip of the tea. It was warm and sweet. It made her feel slightly calmer. She took a bite of the bread, and the taste made her feel almost like a child again. For a moment, she forgot the past. Luke watched her carefully. He did not speak, but his eyes said something like, "I'm not going to hurt you." Clara finished the tea and the bread, then set the cup down. She looked at Luke, and her eyes filled with something she did not want to name. It was not love. It was not even trust. It was simply the feeling of being seen. Luke stood up slowly. "I'll leave you to rest," he said. "If you need anything, I'm just outside." Clara nodded. She watched him walk out of the room. She listened to his footsteps fade away. Then she sat back on the bed and let her eyes close. For the first time in a long time, she did not feel like she was waiting for something bad to happen, but she still did not believe she was safe. She only believed that, maybe, for a moment, she could pretend. And in that small moment, the world felt a little less heavy. Clara woke up before sunrise, as if her body still belonged to the past and was used to waking up to fear. She lay very still in the small bed, listening to the quiet sounds of the house. The wind moved softly outside, and she could hear the faint creak of the porch boards. Everything was calm, almost too calm. She didn't trust calm. Calm meant the moment before something happened. She sat up slowly and rubbed her eyes. Her arms felt heavy, and her body ached in places she did not want to touch. She looked at the window and saw the first light of morning painting the sky. It was a new day. It felt impossible that she was still alive, still here, still breathing. Clara got up and moved to the small wash basin. She splashed cold water on her face, trying to wake up her body. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. She looked tired. Her eyes were dark, and her skin was pale. She had the kind of face that seemed older than her years. She tried to remember who she used to be before everything happened. But that person felt like a different life, like someone else's story. Clara did not know how to find her again. The sound of footsteps outside made her tense. She held her breath. She waited, expecting something bad. The door opened, and Mary stepped inside. She had a gentle smile on her face and carried a small basket with fresh bread. "Good morning," Mary said softly. "I thought you might want something to eat." Clara nodded, still not speaking. She felt awkward. She did not know how to talk to people anymore. Words felt heavy and dangerous, like they could be used against her. Mary set the basket on the table and sat down. She watched Clara carefully, not pushing her to talk. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to," she said. "Just take your time." Clara looked down at the bread. It smelled warm and fresh. She felt a strange urge to cry, but she held it in. She took a piece and broke it slowly. Her hands shook, but she tried to hide it. Mary noticed the shaking. She did not say anything. She simply offered Clara a cup of tea. Clara accepted, and the warm liquid slid down her throat like a small comfort. After a while, Mary stood up. "Luke will be here soon," she said. "He wants to show you around the place." Clara froze. Her heart began to race. The idea of meeting Luke again made her feel strange. She did not know why. She only knew that she wanted to hide. Mary saw the fear in her eyes. "It's okay," she said gently. "He's a good man. He won't hurt you." Clara wanted to believe Mary, but her mind was full of warnings. She had learned to distrust people. She had learned that even kind people could become cruel when they wanted something. Clara finished her tea and ate the bread. She waited until Mary left. Then she stood up and walked to the window again. She watched the town slowly come to life. People were starting to move, opening doors, tending animals, going to work. It looked normal. It looked like life. Clara felt a small ache in her chest. She wanted to be part of that normal life, but she did not know how. She did not know how to be a person in a world that felt so harsh. The door opened again and Luke stepped inside. He looked different in the morning light. He looked softer, less like a stranger, and more like someone who belonged in this place. He had a calm expression, but his eyes were still watchful. "Good morning," he said quietly. Clara nodded. She did not speak. She felt like her voice would break if she tried. Luke set his hat down and sat in the chair. He did not sit too close. He kept his distance, but his presence felt steady. It felt like a solid wall that did not threaten her. "I brought you something," he said. He held out a small bundle wrapped in cloth. "It's a blanket. It's not fancy, but it's warm." Clara took the bundle carefully. She looked at it like it might be a trap. She did not want to be fooled again. But the blanket was soft, and it smelled faintly of soap. She could tell it was clean. "Thank you," she whispered. Luke nodded. "I thought you might want to keep it. You can use it when you feel cold." Clara wrapped the blanket around her shoulders. The warmth made her feel a little safer. She did not know why, but she felt something inside her loosen slightly. Luke looked at her for a moment, then stood up. "If you want, I can show you around town," he said. "You don't have to go, but it might help to know where things are." Clara hesitated. She did not want to leave the house. She did not want to face people, but she also felt a small curiosity. She wanted to know if this place could really be different from the past. She nodded slowly. Luke smiled softly, like he was relieved. "All right," he said. "Let's go." They stepped outside together. The air was fresh and the sun was rising higher. Clara felt the warmth on her face, and for a moment she almost forgot her fear. The town looked peaceful, but she kept her guard up. She watched every person they passed, every movement, every glance. Luke walked beside her, but he did not talk too much. He seemed to understand that she needed quiet. He pointed out simple things: where the well was, where the store was, where the stable was. He showed her the path to the church and the schoolhouse. As they walked, Clara noticed how the people looked at her. Some stared openly. Some whispered. Some looked away quickly, like they did not want to be caught staring. Clara felt embarrassed. She felt like she was being judged. Luke did not seem to notice the looks, or if he did not care. He walked with his head held high, like he belonged to the town. He did not rush. He did not act like he was afraid of anything. Clara felt a strange mix of emotions. She was grateful that he was with her, but she also felt like she did not deserve his kindness. She felt like she was a burden. like she was a problem that needed to be fixed. Luke stopped near the general store. He turned to her. "If you want, you can stay here for a while," he said. "I'll be right outside." Clara looked at him. She did not know what to do. She wanted to say yes, but she was afraid to be alone. She was also afraid to be with people. She felt stuck between two fears. "I'll wait," Luke said, as if he could read her thoughts. "You don't have to go in if you don't want to." Clara nodded. She watched him walk away. Then she stepped toward the store. She opened the door and entered slowly. The inside of the store smelled like wood and herbs. Shelves were lined with jars and tools. The shopkeeper looked up and smiled. "Good morning," he said. "You must be new." Clara nodded, then looked down. She felt like she was shrinking. The shopkeeper didn't ask too many questions. He simply offered her a friendly smile and asked what she needed. Clara asked for a few basic items: soap, a comb, some cloth. She spoke in short sentences, careful not to reveal too much. The shopkeeper nodded and wrapped the items. "You'll be needing some good clothes soon," he said kindly. "Winter is coming." Clara nodded again, but she did not smile. She felt uncomfortable talking about herself. She felt like every word she said could be used against her. When she stepped back outside, Luke was waiting. He looked at her with gentle concern. "You did good," he said quietly. Clara felt her throat tighten. She did not know how to respond. She simply nodded. They walked back toward the house. Clara noticed the fields again. She noticed the open space. It felt strange to see so much freedom. In her past, freedom had been something she only dreamed about. Now it was right in front of her. Luke led her back to the house and opened the door. "You can rest," he said. "I'll be here if you need anything." Clara walked inside, feeling the weight of the day. She sat down on the bed and stared at the blanket. It was warm. It was real. It was hers. She felt a small flicker of hope. It was a dangerous feeling, because hope could be taken away. But she could not stop the feeling. It was there. For the first time since she arrived, Clara allowed herself to think about the possibility of a different life, a life where she did not have to be afraid every moment, a life where someone would not hurt her. She did not know if she could ever fully trust anyone again, but she felt a small shift inside her. She felt the beginning of something she had not felt in a long time. Clara closed her eyes and let the silence settle around her. It was still quiet, but now the quiet did not feel empty. It felt like a place where she could start to breathe. She did not say it out loud, but in her heart she began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was not alone anymore. And for the first time in a long time, she felt a little bit safe. Clara woke up with the feeling of being watched. It was not a bad feeling, not like danger. It was more like the feeling you get when someone cares about you, but you are not used to it. She sat up slowly and looked around the room. The blanket Luke had brought was folded neatly on the chair, and the sun was shining through the window. The world looked peaceful again. She stood up and walked to the mirror. She studied her own face, trying to see if she looked different. She did not feel different, but she wondered if others could see something changing. She wondered if the bruises would fade. She wondered if the fear would fade. She heard a soft knock on the door. Her heart jumped, but she did not move quickly. She waited. The knock came again, gentle and patient. "Clara?" Mary's voice came through. "Are you awake?" Clara nodded and opened the door. Mary smiled warmly. "Good. Luke asked me to tell you he's taking you out again today. He wants you to meet some people." Clara's stomach tightened. Meeting people felt like stepping into a storm. She did not know how to act. She did not know how to talk. She did not know how to be a person in a room full of strangers. Mary noticed her hesitation. "You don't have to stay long," she said. "Just a little while. It will be good for you." Clara nodded slowly. She did not know how to say no. She did not know if she should. She felt like saying no would make her seem ungrateful, but saying yes made her feel scared. She dressed carefully, choosing clothes that covered her arms and neck. She wanted to hide the bruises, but she also wanted to feel normal. She wanted to blend in, like she belonged. When she stepped outside, Luke was waiting. He looked calm, as always. He did not rush her. He simply stood there, watching her with a gentle patience. "Good morning," he said. Clara nodded. She did not speak. She felt like her voice was still hidden somewhere inside her. Luke offered his arm. Clara hesitated for a moment, then placed her hand on his arm. The touch was small, but it felt important. It felt like someone was saying, without words, that she was not alone. They walked toward the town square. The air was cool and fresh, and the town was starting to wake up. People were opening their shops and saying hello to each other. The sound of laughter floated through the air, and Clara felt a strange longing. She wanted to be part of that. They reached a small group of people near the well. There were a few women and a couple of men. They looked up when Clara approached. Some smiled. Some looked unsure. One woman's smile was warm, but it seemed careful, like she was testing the waters. Luke introduced Clara quietly. "This is Clara," he said. "She just arrived." The woman with the warm smile stepped forward. "Welcome," she said. "I'm Sarah. It's good to have you here." Clara nodded. "Thank you," she said softly. The other people nodded as well, but their eyes were curious. Clara felt the weight of their attention. She felt like she was being judged. She wondered what they thought of her. She wondered if they knew about her past. She wondered if they thought she was weak. Sarah noticed Clara's nervousness. She smiled again, a little wider this time. "If you need anything, just ask," she said. "We all help each other here." Clara felt a small warmth in her chest. It was not a big feeling, but it was something. She nodded again, not sure what else to say. Luke stayed close, but he did not stand too near. He let Clara speak to the people, but he stayed ready to support her if she needed it. Clara noticed this. She noticed how he was careful not to make her feel trapped, but also careful not to leave her alone. The people asked simple questions about where she came from and what she liked to do. Clara answered in short sentences. She did not share too much. She did not want to be vulnerable. But the more she spoke, the more she realized that these people were not judging her harshly. They were simply curious. They were simply trying to welcome her. Clara began to relax slightly. She even smiled once, and the smile surprised her. It felt like a small victory. As they walked away from the group, Clara felt the tension leave her shoulders. She felt like she had survived the moment. Luke looked at her and nodded. "You did good," he said quietly. Clara felt a strange pride. It was not a pride she had ever felt before. She had always been too busy surviving to feel proud. But now she felt something new. She felt like she was capable of being part of a life. They continued walking through town. Luke pointed out the places where Clara could get help if she needed it. He showed her where the doctor lived, where the school was, and where the church was. He did not speak too much, but his quiet words felt like a steady guide. Clara noticed how Luke treated other people. He was polite and respectful. He did not talk down to anyone. He listened. He cared. She realized that he was not like the men she had known before. He was not cruel. He was not controlling. He was not trying to own her. Clara's chest tightened at that thought. It was a new feeling. It made her heart feel heavy, but in a different way. It was not fear. It was something like hope, but she was not sure if she deserved it. They walked toward the stable. Luke stopped and looked at Clara. "Would you like to ride today?" he asked. Clara blinked. Riding a horse sounded scary. It sounded like something she might not be able to do, but it also sounded like freedom. It sounded like a way to feel the wind on her face and not worry about anything else. She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. Luke smiled softly. "All right then," he said. "Come on." He led her to a horse that looked calm and gentle. The horse's eyes were kind, and Clara felt a strange connection. She had never been close to animals like this before. She had never trusted them. Luke helped her climb onto the horse carefully. He held the reins for a moment, making sure she was steady. Clara's heart raced, but she did not panic. She felt Luke's steady presence beside her, and it made her feel safer. When she was ready, Luke let go of the reins. The horse stood still for a moment, then began to walk slowly. Clara felt the movement under her and her body reacted. She gripped the reins tightly at first, but then she loosened her grip as she realized she could control it. They rode out of town, away from the buildings and the people. The open fields stretched out before them, and Clara felt a sense of awe. The world was wide and full of possibilities. It felt like the first time she had ever seen something beautiful and not feared it. Luke rode beside her, matching her pace. He did not talk much. He let the silence be comfortable. Clara realized that silence could be peaceful. It did not always mean danger. They rode for a while, and Clara felt her fear begin to melt away. She felt the wind on her face and the sun on her shoulders. She felt like she was moving forward, not just physically, but inside herself. Then, a sudden sound startled her. A bird flew up from the grass, and the horse jolted slightly. Clara's body reacted immediately. She tightened her grip and pulled on the reins, trying to control the horse. Luke noticed instantly. He guided the horse gently, helping it calm down. He spoke softly, his voice steady. "It's okay," he said. "You're doing fine." Clara's breath came fast. Her heart was pounding. She felt a wave of panic rise inside her. She wanted to cry. She wanted to run. She wanted to go back to the house and hide. But Luke did not let her fall. He stayed beside her, calm and steady. He did not rush her. He did not force her to be brave. He simply stayed with her until she felt steady again. After a few minutes, Clara's breathing slowed. The panic faded. She looked at Luke, and her eyes filled with tears. She did not know why she was crying. She did not know if it was because she was scared or because she was relieved. Luke did not say anything. He just nodded, as if he understood, without needing words. They continued riding slowly. Clara felt the weight of the day. She felt tired, but in a good way. She felt like she had faced something and survived. When they returned to town, the sun was lower in the sky. The air was cooler. Clara felt a small sense of accomplishment. She had done something that scared her. She had faced her fear, and she had not fallen apart. Luke led her back to the house and helped her down from the horse. He did not touch her too much. He simply made sure she was safe. Clara walked inside and sat down. She felt the blanket on the chair again. She looked at it and smiled slightly. It felt like a small symbol of the new life she was trying to build. She did not know if she could fully trust Luke yet. She did not know if she could fully trust anyone. But she felt something inside her change. She felt the beginning of trust. and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she might be able to stay. Clara woke up that morning with a feeling she did not recognize. It was not fear. It was not calm. It was something in between, like the moment right before you open a door you are not sure you should open. She sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the blanket Luke had brought. The warmth of it still felt like a small comfort, like a quiet promise that someone cared. She stood up and walked to the window. The sky was clear and the air looked fresh. The town was waking up again, and Clara felt a strange urge to join it. She wanted to be part of the world, not just a quiet figure in a small house. But she also felt scared. She did not know if she was ready for more people. She did not know if she was ready for more questions. She did not know if she was ready for more chances to be hurt. Clara heard footsteps outside. She held her breath, waiting. She did not know who would come in. She did not know if she would be able to speak. The door opened slowly, and Luke stepped inside. He looked calm, but his eyes were serious. He did not smile right away. He simply stood there, watching her. "Good morning," he said softly. Clara nodded. She did not speak. She felt like her voice was still hidden somewhere deep inside her. Luke walked closer, but he stopped a few feet away. He did not come too close. He did not want to scare her. He looked at her with a gentle concern. "I thought we could go to the fields today," he said. "There's work to be done. It might help you feel useful." Clara looked down at her hands. She did not know how to answer. She felt like she was being offered something important, but she did not know if she was allowed to accept. She remembered her past, the times when people told her she had to do things she did not want to do. She remembered how she had been controlled, how her choices had been taken away. Clara took a deep breath. She looked up at Luke. "Okay," she said quietly. Luke nodded, and a small, relieved smile appeared on his face. "Good," he said. "We'll take it slow. You don't have to do more than you can." They walked outside together. The air was warm and the sun shone brightly. The fields were wide and open, filled with tall grass and wild flowers. The world looked alive. Clara felt a small joy in her chest. It was not big, but it was real. They walked toward the barn where the tools were kept. Luke carried a basket with some seeds and small supplies. Clara followed, her steps careful but steady. She felt like she was walking into a new kind of life. Luke showed her what to do. He explained how to plant seeds and how to care for the soil. He showed her how to work with the land, how to respect it, how to understand it. Clara listened carefully. She liked the way he explained things. He did not speak harshly. He did not rush her. He made her feel like she was capable. As they worked, Clara felt her body begin to move without fear. She felt her hands do something useful. She felt the dirt in her fingers, and it felt strangely healing. It felt like she was touching something real, something that would not hurt her. Luke watched her quietly. He did not praise her too much. He did not act like he was amazed. He simply stayed beside her, guiding her when she needed help. It was the kind of support that did not feel like control. Clara started to feel more comfortable. She began to talk a little. She spoke about small things, like the weather and the land. She spoke about the way the wind felt and the sound of the birds. She did not talk about her past. She did not want to. She did not want to give her pain more power. But Luke noticed something. He noticed the way Clara's shoulders tensed when she heard loud noises. He noticed the way she flinched when someone approached too quickly. He noticed the way her eyes darted around when she felt unsure. He did not push her. He did not ask her to explain. He simply continued working with her, slowly helping her feel safe. At one point, a sudden sound came from the barn. A bucket fell, and the noise echoed through the field. Clara froze. Her body went stiff. Her heart began to race. She looked around, her eyes wide. Luke immediately moved closer, but he did not grab her or force her to move. He simply stood beside her, steady. He placed his hand lightly on the horse's neck, not on her. He let her see that he was there. "It's okay," he said softly. "It's just a sound. You're safe." Clara's breath shook. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. She looked at Luke, and she felt tears in her eyes. She did not understand why she was crying. She did not understand why a simple sound could make her feel like she was back in the past. Luke did not say anything else. He did not make her explain. He simply waited until she felt steady again. After a few minutes, Clara's breathing slowed. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She looked at the ground, then back at Luke. "Thank you," she whispered. Luke nodded. He did not smile, but his eyes softened. He understood her without needing more words. They continued working. Clara felt tired, but she also felt something else. She felt a growing strength inside her. It was not the kind of strength that comes from being tough or angry. It was a quiet strength, a kind that comes from surviving and still choosing to move forward. As the day went on, Clara began to feel more relaxed. She began to enjoy the work. She began to feel like she belonged. She began to feel like she was part of something. When the work was done, Luke and Clara sat under a tree near the field. They drank water and rested. Clara looked out at the land. The sun was beginning to set, and the sky was painted with warm colors. Luke sat quietly beside her. He did not speak. He simply sat there, letting the silence be comfortable. Clara looked at him and felt a strange feeling. She felt safe. She felt calm. She felt like she could trust him. But she also felt a fear. She was afraid that if she let herself feel safe, it would be taken away. She was afraid that the past would return. She was afraid that she would be hurt again. She looked down at her hands and tried to steady her thoughts. She did not want to ruin the moment. She did not want to ruin the feeling of peace. Luke looked at her, and his voice was quiet. "You don't have to be strong all the time," he said. "It's okay to feel things." Clara's eyes filled with tears again. She did not know how to respond. She wanted to say thank you, but her voice felt stuck. Luke reached out slowly and placed his hand on the bench. Not on her. He did not touch her. He did not push. He simply showed her that he was there. "You don't have to pretend," he said. "You don't have to hide." Clara's breath caught. She looked at him, and her eyes filled with a deep emotion she could not name. She felt like she was standing at the edge of something new, something that could change her life. She wanted to trust him, but she was scared. She wanted to believe in a future, but she did not know if she deserved it. Clara looked down again. She felt the tears fall, but she did not wipe them away. She let them fall. She let herself feel. Luke stayed quiet. He did not rush her. He did not try to fix her. He simply let her be. After a while, Clara wiped her eyes. She took a deep breath. She looked at Luke again, and this time she spoke. "I don't know if I can ever forget," she said quietly, "but I think I can learn to live." Luke nodded slowly. "That's all anyone can ask," he said, "one step at a time." Clara nodded. She felt a small smile form on her lips. It was not a big smile, but it was real. It was the kind of smile that meant she was still alive and still trying. They sat there for a few more moments, watching the sun disappear behind the hills. The world was quiet, but it felt full. It felt like a place where Clara could finally begin to heal. And for the first time, she believed that healing was possible. Clara woke up with a strange feeling inside her. It was not fear. It was not sadness. It was something new and soft, like a small light in a dark room. She sat up and looked around the room. The blanket Luke had brought was still on the chair, folded neatly. The bed was made. The room felt calm. It felt safe. She stood and walked to the window. The sun was rising, painting the sky in pale colors. The town looked peaceful. Clara took a deep breath and felt a small sense of gratitude. She did not know how long she could stay in this feeling, but she wanted to hold on to it for as long as she could. She heard footsteps outside again. This time, she did not tense. She felt curious instead of afraid. The door opened, and Luke stepped inside. He looked calm, and there was a quiet smile on his face. "Morning," he said softly. Clara nodded. "Morning," she replied. Luke stepped closer, but he kept a respectful distance. He did not rush her. He did not try to take over her space. He simply stood there, waiting. "I thought today we could do something different," Luke said. "There's a small community gathering at the church. It's nothing big. Just some people talking and sharing food. I thought you might like it." Clara hesitated. She felt nervous. But she also felt something else. She felt like she wanted to be part of something. She wanted to belong. "Okay," she said quietly. Luke nodded. "Good," he said. "We'll go together." They walked through the town, and Clara noticed how the people looked at her. This time, their looks felt different. They did not seem curious or suspicious. They seemed friendly. Some smiled as they passed, some waved. Clara felt her heart warm slightly. They reached the church, and Clara could see a small group of people gathered outside. There were tables with food and children running around, laughing. The air was filled with the smell of bread and soup. Clara felt a small hunger in her stomach, but she also felt something else: hope. They approached the group, and Sarah, the woman who had welcomed her before, waved. "Clara, you made it," she said warmly. Clara felt her cheeks grow warm. She smiled. "Yes," she said softly. "I did." Sarah stepped closer and offered Clara a plate of food. "Eat," she said. "You look like you need it." Clara took the plate with a small smile as she looked around at the people. They were talking, laughing, sharing stories. They looked like a family. Clara felt a small ache in her chest. She wanted to be part of that. Luke stood beside her, watching her with a gentle smile. He did not push her into conversation. He simply stood there, giving her the chance to join in if she wanted. Clara took a bite of the food. It tasted warm and comforting. She felt the hunger in her body fade. She felt her muscles relax. For a moment, she forgot the past. For a moment, she felt like she belonged. As they sat, a man approached them. He was the town's doctor, a kind-looking man with a gentle voice. "Clara," he said, "I heard you arrived recently. I wanted to make sure you were doing okay." Clara felt her heart beat faster. She did not know what to say. She did not want to be seen as weak. She did not want to be seen as someone who needed help. But she also realized that asking for help did not mean she was weak. It meant she was human. She looked at the doctor and nodded. "I'm okay," she said quietly. The doctor smiled kindly. "If you ever need anything, you can come to me," he said. "You don't have to struggle alone." Clara felt her eyes fill with tears again. She did not know why she was crying. She only knew that the kindness felt overwhelming. It felt like too much at once. It felt like something she had not allowed herself to receive. Luke placed his hand on the back of her chair, not touching her directly, but close enough that she could feel his support. Clara looked at him and felt a deep emotion inside her. She felt grateful. She felt safe. She felt like she was finally being cared for in a way that did not hurt. The gathering continued, and Clara listened to the stories people shared. They talked about their lives, their struggles, their hopes. They spoke in a way that was honest and simple. Clara realized that everyone had their own hardships. Everyone had their own scars. She was not alone in her pain. After the gathering, they walked back to the house. The sun was lower in the sky, and the air felt cool. Clara felt tired, but she also felt a calm happiness. She felt like she had taken a step forward. When they arrived home, Luke sat with her on the porch. The sky was painted with the colors of sunset. Clara looked out at the fields and felt a sense of peace she had never known before. Luke spoke quietly. "You did well today," he said. "You were brave." Clara looked at him. She did not know how to respond. She felt the words in her chest, but they were hard to speak. "I don't know if I'm brave," she said softly. "I just, Luke nodded. "Trying is brave," he said. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep moving." Clara looked down at her hands. She thought about everything she had been through. She thought about the fear, the pain, the loneliness. She thought about how she had once believed she would never be safe again. But now she was safe, not because she was protected by force, but because she was surrounded by people who cared, because she had found a place where she could breathe, because she had found someone who did not demand her pain be hidden. Clara looked up at Luke. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for everything." Luke's eyes softened. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "You deserve kindness. You deserve peace." Clara felt tears fill her eyes again. She did not wipe them away. She let them fall. She let herself feel. Luke reached out slowly and took her hand gently. He did not squeeze. He did not pull her. He simply held her hand, as if to say, without words, that he was there and he was not going anywhere. Clara felt the warmth of his hand and felt something inside her shift. It was not just trust. It was something deeper. It was the beginning of a bond that was not built on fear, but on care. She looked into Luke's eyes and saw something she had never seen before, a quiet promise. Not a promise of perfect happiness, but a promise of safety, a promise that she would not have to face the world alone. Clara took a deep breath. She felt the weight of her past still there, but she also felt something else. She felt hope. She felt the possibility of a future. She squeezed Luke's hand gently and he squeezed back. In that moment, Clara realized that she had finally found a place where she could heal. She had found a life where she was not just surviving, but living. She had come as a broken woman, but she was slowly becoming whole.